Wednesday. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. I'm your host, Maddie Margarita, here with Diana Pardee on tech. Every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., SCWA turns our Facebook page over to a new writer, or in this case, a returning writer, to talk about their books and their work. This morning, we're proud to welcome back Matt Coyle. Matt is the best-selling author of the Rick Cahill PI series. He was named the 2021 San Diego Writers Festival Mystery Writer of the Year. His novels have won the Anthony Award, the Shamus Award, the Lefty Award, the San Diego Book Award, amongst many others. He has also received nominations for numerous Anthony, Macavity, Shamus, and Lefty Awards. His latest, ODYSSEY'S End, is the 10th book in the award-winning series. Matt is a graduate of UC Santa Barbara and lives in San Diego. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning. Did you say 10 a.m. or roughly 10 a.m.?
Roughly 10 a.m.
Okay, yeah.
That's me. You know, I'm an Irish time. So ODYSSEY'S End.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm a
big student. I'm a big student of foreshadowing here, Matt. Let's start with the title.
Yeah. You know, I worked for a company called Odyssey way back when in the golf business, and it ended for me. So that's what it came about.
What that's a magical story.
It was.
That you've concocted right there and then.
No, it's true, actually. It ended when Callaway bought us. Yeah. And then a year later, my job ended.
Way to segue into your writing career.
Well, that's the decision of I'll tell that story when we have more time. When I said I gave an honest answer to something that I knew wasn't what they wanted to hear, and it probably cost me $250,000 in earnings over the years. But I don't think I'd be a published author now if I would have continued to work for a particular company. Anyway, ODYSSEY'S End, yeah, as every one of my books, the title comes from some prose or dialogue in the book. Just say that.
So let's talk about book 10 with Rick Cahill. We know that you are known for writing stories with heart, stories with high stakes, stories that are tightly plotted and have great characters. Before we talk specifically about ODYSSEY'S End, how do you approach writing book 10?
Yeah, 10, it's for many, not that many books, but for me, it was a long way to go. It took me 10 years to get published and then 10 plus to get to 10. So a little mini spoiler alert for those who may not have read me yet or some of the earlier books. I mean, this is in the first 2 pages, at least, that Rick has been pre-diagnosed with CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, the brain disease known as the pro football disease, which is basically a life sentence, generally leads to reduced cognitive abilities, dementia, and early death. And this is the 3rd book where he's had it when I introduced it in book 8, blanking on the title. They're all 2-word titles. Last Redemption. I couldn't in book 9 have it be suddenly gone away, because once you're pre-diagnosed with this, it's not something, there's no cure as of right now. And so I had to, how is this manifesting itself in this particular story? I don't want to rehash the whole situation, and I don't want to have it's more in the background it's more in the background in this book than maybe the last 2, certainly Doom Legacy, where one of the symptoms shows itself in a very scary way. But it is a ticking clock, and because of it, Rick's taking actions. We don't see a lot of the symptoms, but because that he has it, he realizes his life is going to probably be significantly shorter than one might originally think. Although he lives a pretty dangerous life, anything can happen at any moment. That he's concerned about. He's estranged from his family. Once again, not a spoiler. It's very early in the book. And if he wants to get back with his family, but most of all, he wants to make sure when he leaves that he's left something, at least a little bit of a safety net for his daughter, Krista, because as Rick knows better than anyone, life will knock you down, and he wants to have a soft cushion for her to land on. Um, and so he ends up meeting someone from his past, who's fun to write, but not a great person, who makes him an offer financially that he can't turn down. It's a huge start to this nest egg he wants to build, but this is someone who's dangerous and he can't trust. But you know, taking the case will perhaps never let him see his family again, but it also, if he was able to have it come to fruition, he'll have that a huge jump start to that $50,000 to that jump start for his daughter's safety net.
I think you know, you have um, taken on a lot of difficulties. So not only does he have challenges, I mean, he's got a 2-year-old daughter and a wife who have left him because of his rages. They're afraid of him to a certain extent, right? So that comes with an emotional punch, and decisions for him to make. I mean, I'm sure that's a hard thing to face, and then the diagnosis and dealing with that, and then you present him with a moral dilemma, which is great. That has a lot of emotional underpinnings as well. So the story itself is solid and interesting and gripping, but from a technical point of view, how do you write these stories? I mean, it's hard enough to write a detective story and have all the clues and deductions and aha moments and everything. But so you've written Rick Cahill blind, and you've written him cognitively challenged. So, I mean, it's hard enough to write a straight detective series, and just have that be like Jack Reacher-esque. But so when you're writing these stories, how how do you take that into account? Do you write the story and then go back and add the difficulties, or do you say no, he'd never do that, or how do you approach that?
Well, I revise every day, and because I have such a messy, we'll call it organic process, that I just my first draft is whatever comes into my head. Of course, as I said, I'm revising every day, but something it's like, oh, that's interesting. I'll just throw it in there, and sometimes it leads to something interesting, and sometimes I have to cut it. And I make huge cuts after my first read through, huge, 30,000 words at times. Um, But in terms of, I'll have to say, in terms of the cognitive situation, I probably didn't touch upon that as much as I should have in this book. But again, I didn't want to just keep beating over the head that he's got this
Right.
disease. Um, but it's more the moral dilemma, which you mentioned, and he's doing exactly to get this nest egg for his daughter. He's doing exactly what his wife doesn't want him to do. He's risking himself. He knows he's getting an it's basically he's trying. It's a missing person case, in innocuous, but not the guy who hired him to do it. He knows that's a dangerous person, and plus he can't trust him. So this is exactly the thing. I mean, normally a missing person case, it's not going to get you in trouble, but he knows this is not a good situation, and it's exactly what Krista, or Leah rather, doesn't want him to do anymore. One of the things, along with volcanic outbursts and hiding guns throughout the house. Um, but to get to his goal, I'm not going to be here. I'm responsible for another human being now, too, actually, but one who, I could be gone in a couple of years, 10 at the most, he might think. And she's going to need that safety net. So this is what I have to do. And then, because he does have this need for redemption because of what happened with his wife many years ago. Once he's trying to find this person, he realizes that while he's picking up breadcrumbs, he might possibly be leaving some behind. So now he's responsible for this person, and that redemption situation. Like, I can't just walk away now, even though I should, because I've perhaps brought evil to this person just by looking for her.
Unwittingly.
Yes.
So So Krista is 2, his daughter's 2, right? So,
I think she's a little younger than that, but you could be right.
a little younger than that? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a long time, for a parent to look back on, a lifespan of a child and all those other things. So, you know, he aside from being like a good father and a good human being, I think one of the traits that keeps people reading uh, Rick Cahill is his resilience,
Mm.
because you keep shoveling on like the worst things that could possibly happen to a human being in their life, book after book after
Yeah.
book, and he is resilient and resourceful. Um, why do you think that's the characteristic that keeps people reading him, or do you think it's something else?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I do think resilient in spite, and I actually I had an event last night at Warwick's in La Jolla, my launch, which is people always treat me great there. And there was a woman who I never met, who she and her sister read my books. And she said, he does such stupid things. I had to put him down. I go, oh, okay. She goes, but then I had to pick him back up, and now we've read through all the books. But so Rick can frustrate people. And which is, I'm happy with that. I don't want them to walk away, but that's the kind of the delicate balance that I try to keep. And that this guy's damaged. He can't stop himself from making decisions he knows that are wrong, but there's this inner north that he feels that may not be correct that he has to follow. And so, yeah, in fact, when I'll read a bad review on Goodreads, because there are some out there.
Huh?
We got rain. We got rain. It's pretty exciting down here in Southern California rain now.
Woohoo.
When someone will comment about, he's not the smartest guy or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that's why you didn't like it? Cool. Then I did my job, because that's who he's not a stupid person, but he can't get out of his own way a lot of the time. So and so people can, they do like that he keeps getting up, even if he puts himself in bad situation, but he keeps fighting through, and he will not let evil stand if he comes across it. And in some ways he questions, have I become evil? Because there have been times where he's been judge, jury, and executioner. He has murdered people, bad people, but it's not like they were bad, I killed them. He thinks about it. He carries it inside him, and he wonders, what am I becoming? But he's thinking, I'm going to save my life and someone else's in one particular instance if I do this now, even though they're not doing anything. So he's a fun guy to write. I never imagined that in book 10 that he would be where he is when I first started writing Rick Cahill 20 years ago. And I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. It's been a challenge in many ways. This book was the hardest one to write that I've had to write for many reasons. One is in the dedication that people that know me will understand. But I question all my books I'm writing, and this one I thought, I don't know, I don't know if it's the level it should be. And then I finished it and I read through it, and finally I got it up to, I thought, yes, it's the level. And now as time has passed, I think it's really good. I think it's one of my best. But we'll see.
So, we've known each other a long time, and now you're at the series, and you as a writer have blown up. You're getting blurbs from Michael Conley. You're interviewing Michael Conley, and you're talking about other people that you're talking to. How does it feel to have your writing that you work so hard and sacrifice for, be validated?
Well, I'm happy with, I'm proud and happy with the way things have gone. And yes, there's validation, but there's also, there's other validation, there's other goals, that there's other ways of keeping score. And in one way, I haven't achieved anywhere near what I wanted to in terms of one way of keeping score.
Right.
But there's always the next project you're working on. And sometimes it's funny because this is book 10, it's called Odyssey's End. People can think about it what they want. And I have been doing some reflecting about where I've come in the last 20 years. It's not, like I said, I was never been an overnight success, but whatever success I had, it took me 10 years to write a book and get published. So I have looked back, and just in talking last night and doing my write-up for my talk, and doing my first really presentation of this tour. Yeah, I do look back, and I'm very proud and happy. But I also a little, you get, I'm not gonna say emotional, but a little longingness for some things. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting time, and I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking forward in terms of my writing career. My personal life, I look back way too much, but I'm always looking forward. But sometimes, yeah, you should, with anything you're doing in life, it's like, wow, I'm not resting on whatever laurels there may be, but I'm pretty proud of how things have gone, and kind of amazed at how things have gone.
I know where you can't talk about the ending, because that would be bad. But would it be fair to say that if people went out, everybody who's watching and their friends went out and bought a copy of Odyssey's End,
Which they should.
that might be an investment in Rick Cahill's future?
Yes, I will say one of the things that made this book difficult to write is whether would this be Rick's end, and if it was Rick's end, would it do him justice? As I said, I have my own standards that I try to write to, and um, I wanted to make sure if Rick was going out, that this book did him justice. And even if he's not going out, it's always, did this book do him and me justice? Man, there's some real serious lightning and thunder going on here. It's very exciting. We don't get that often. So I think readers will, all my books hopefully read as standalones, but if they've been with me through the journey, I think whatever happens at the end, I think they'll be happy, or
Well,
feel like it was justified.
I know you're always writing, and whether what you're working on is another Rick novel or something else, I'm sure we're going to look forward to reading that just as much as we do all your books.
Thank you.
And I know that you're busy out on tour right now promoting Odyssey's End, and you're going to be in Orange County, right? Coming up.
Saturday, I'll be at Book Carnival with Anne and all of her people. I've told Anne many times, and she knows it's my home away from home as a writer. The people are great. I love the store. I love Anne and the customers. And my God, I can barely hear myself. We don't get this kind of rain. It's crazy.
Okay, now I'm worried because that means it's heading our way.
Yeah, it's coming. Batten down the hatches. Yeah, so I'll be there 2 o'clock Saturday. Yeah,
Okay.
and looking forward to it.
And where can people find your books, Matt?
They can
Aside from Book
find
Carnival?
MattCoyleBooks.com. Of course, I'm available on all the bookstores, all the online options. But of course, really support your independent local bookstores if you can, because they make a difference for writers on my level.
And if you're going to be at Poison Pen, you're going to be in Arizona, Scottsdale tomorrow.
Yes.
You can see Matt there also, right?
Right. The Poison Pen, the great Poison Pen, legendary. Always an honor to be there. I'll be with Tim Malini. I might be taking a canoe, but yeah, I'll get there.
Okay. Well, we'll see you paddling away. We thank you for being here. I know you have a lot going on. Sincerely, best of luck with the book and everything that you're doing in the future. And we hope to see you soon.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, as always.
Thank you. And everybody who's watching this, feel free to share this video on Facebook, or you can go to SCWA Writers Online to find our interview with Matt Coyle about Odyssey's End, along with 130 other videos. So have fun. It's a fun rabbit hole to dive into. And until next Wednesday, please stay safe.